Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the 5th edition of NoDQ&A video in 4 days, right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, please share it, and subscribe if you haven't already at youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Got more of your questions here. First off, I've gotten a bunch of questions regarding the debut of Smackdown on the USA Network. I thought it was a good show. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more hype from WWE and maybe a slightly more eventful show. With that being said, I still felt it did a good job in building up the Royal Rumble for the most part. I liked the angle at the end with Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens, with them having that crazy brawl at the end of Smackdown, and I'm assuming they are going to have some kind of match like a Falls Count Anywhere match at the Royal Rumble. That's what seems to make sense. And of course, the new SmackDown announcer, Moral Ronaldos. I got questions about him. First question here comes from Jericho. What did you think of Moral Ronaldos commentating on SmackDown? Nice to see some passion in the booth in recent memory. I thought he did a great job. I felt that he did well calling the moves, calling the action, and I also felt he showed a lot of passion, as you mentioned. He was very enthusiastic during the show, and I just like his voice. I think he has a very unique voice that stands out. I could see him becoming the lead commentator in WWE, and I would not have him become the lead commentator immediately because it's just one show, but if he keeps doing what he's doing and he does well, I could see him maybe in a year or so becoming the new lead announcer in WWE. I mean, if he keeps going at the rate he's going to easily outshine the rest of the announcing team. And even off of this one performance, you know, it's January right now, but by the time November comes around and we have the NoDQ.com year-end awards, I could see him easily winning the Announcer of the Year award. So far so good with him. It's a nice change of pace, and I'm glad he's in WWE now. He definitely deserves to be there. And I got this question here from Ricky Lawson. What are your thoughts on Jerry Lawler being a heel commentator again? I was listening to the announcing on SmackDown, and I wasn't even aware that Jerry Lawler made a heel turn until I saw his retweeting of people on Twitter congratulating him for being a heel again. I guess I didn't catch it. It didn't seem that obvious to me that he was a heel. I think I was more focused on Ronaldo and also how annoying Byron Saxton is. I mean, that guy I find to be very annoying. The X-Pac heat definitely with that guy. I think they should just have it be Ronaldo and Lawler on SmackDown, at least for the time being. Get rid of Byron Saxton. Just not a fan of his work. But Jerry Lawler being a heel, I mean, I'm all for that if he goes all out. I mean, don't be a watered down heel. Be an actual heel and say things that are controversial and be the old Jerry Lawler that wasn't afraid to offend people. How far will Jerry Lawler be able to go, though, in today's WWE that's politically correct? Who knows? Alright, this one comes from Connor. Please answer in video. Who do you prefer, Cena or Reigns? Easy answer would be John Cena, because John Cena has more experience, and I think overall John Cena is a better performer. Will Roman Reigns eventually eclipse John Cena as a performer? That remains to be seen, but at this stage of the game, I think Cena was better in 2003 than Roman Reigns is right now. Cena got it really quick, at least on the mic and as a performer overall. Wasn't the greatest wrestler, took him years to really improve in the ring, but John Cena as an all-around performer, I know a lot of people are going to accuse me of being an ass kisser again, but Cena is a really great performer. It's just that he's had this very stale character that hasn't been changed up in a decade, and that's the problem. But John Cena, as an overall performer in the ring, on the mic, his whole presence, his attitude, everything, there are few people that are as good as John Cena. And if Roman Reigns can get even close to the level of John Cena, then he'll be a big success in WWE. Alright, this one comes from Darren Holding. Happy New Year. Do you see the Usos having singles runs in WWE? If so, how far do you see them going? Please answer in video. Hashtag give the beard a chance. I totally agree with you on that hashtag. Now, regarding the Usos becoming singles competitors, I think that that's a bad idea. I think that they're strongest being together as a unit, being marketed as the Usos. And I just don't think either guy stands out enough to be able to go very far as a singles competitor. The Usos as a package, they are a force in the tag team division. But if you split them up, neither guy really stands out. And we saw when one of the Usos got injured, the other one was around but didn't really do anything on television. WWE had no confidence in pushing that Uso as a singles competitor. And I apologize here for not knowing which Uso was injured. I mean, that's how up to speed I am on it. I really should know. This is my job after all. But yeah, the Usos, I think, are definitely best off sticking together as a tag team. Alright, this one comes from Bob Hansen. What do you think was the best Royal Rumble undercard? I go with 2000, 91, and 94. I would say overall 2000 had the most solid card. Not just the Royal Rumble match itself, but the matches before the Rumble. The street fight, of course, Triple H and Cactus Jack was incredible. And then the tag team match with the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys, and then Taz's epic debut against Kurt Angle. That was an amazing Royal Rumble show from start to finish. One of the best Royal Rumbles. I would actually say that that was the best Royal Rumble pay-per-view as a whole, next to the 1992 Royal Rumble. And 91... I liked 91 for the Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes father-son teaming up against Ted DiBiase and Virgil. I enjoyed that match. I enjoyed the angle with Virgil finally having enough of the $1 Million Man and going off on his own. I enjoyed that. And of course the WWE title match with Sergeant Slaughter winning the title due to Randy Savage's hitting Warrior with the Spectre. And then earlier in the show, Sensational Sherry trying to seduce the Ultimate Warrior. I thought that was great. So from an entertainment perspective, that Rumble was awesome in terms of the undercard. And of course, 94 had Owen Hart with the famous line, "I just kicked your leg out of your leg." That was great too. Alright, this one comes from Wreck-It Beckett. Hey Aaron, do you ever see Goldberg going into the WWE Hall of Fame for his WCW run? His WWE runs to me were not that great. Well, the WWE run not going well, I do not really feel that that was Goldberg's fault. Now, as far as him going into the Hall of Fame goes, I think it should happen, absolutely. Goldberg was undoubtedly WCW's biggest draw in the company's history. He was red hot, nearly as popular as Steve Austin. He was right up there in 1998. And he was a WCW homegrown creation, and he was just amazingly over. He could go out there and wrestle a 2-minute squash match, and the fans were satisfied. Goldberg was just a phenom in WCW. So yes, he should go into the Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. Will he? I think he should, but politics are a factor, and let's face it, Triple H is not the biggest Goldberg fan, and vice versa. It's going to take some sort of agreement between Triple H and Goldberg and an understanding for that to happen. So will Triple H listen to the fans? That remains to be seen. Alright, this one comes from Sean T. Flick. Thinking outside of the box, my Rumble winner would be Big E. Powerhouse of the New Day versus the Samoan Badass. Your thoughts? I would like to see Big E eventually get a big singles push. I think that he's definitely got the personality to go far in WWE, but right now is not the time. I do not see the New Day splitting up anytime soon, and I think it's very much a long shot for Big E to win the Royal Rumble. I would say, in my famous words, highly unlikely in all likelihood. And I got another question here from Sean. What do you fans honestly see in Ambrose? I personally find him to be very bland, even more so than Cena. Please answer in video. I think that Dean Ambrose is a really good talker, and I think that he's been held back in WWE. I think that the whole lunatic fringe character is very untapped, and I think that there's so many different ways that they could go with that character that they choose not to go. And maybe it's because of WWE being TV PG and being politically correct. But I think if Dean Ambrose had the opportunity to just go out there and experiment with the character and really be crazy. I mean, he's supposed to be this lunatic, and he doesn't really do it. He just comes out there and does the big eyes and, you know, says a few funny things to make him sound like he's crazy, comes out with popcorn. I mean, to me, that's very watered down from what his potential could be. I really feel that the character could do so much more. And Ambrose is a performer. I think that we really haven't seen him at his best in WWE. All right, this one comes from Sean. Please answer in video. When was the NWO the best? At the beginning with the big three or after they added their first few members? In my opinion, the peak of the NWO really came when they added the Giant and Six-Pac and Ted DiBiase. That period from when the Giant came in and the next several weeks after that, that was really the peak of the NWO, when they were coming out there at the end of Nitro and just destroying the WCW roster and tearing down the set and taking over the show. There was one episode where they literally just took over Nitro. That was just tremendous, captivating television. And Hogan spray painting the yellow streak down Randy Savage's back. I mean, that was amazing. Once Bischoff came in as a member of the NWO, that's really when it started to go downhill, because they were adding too many people to the group at that point. Once you started adding VK Wall Street and Big Bubba to the NWO, I mean, that's really when it got very watered down. Alright, this one comes from Ross Canning. Hey Aaron, imagine a match between Kurt Angle and Bret Hart. No one ever talks about it, and I think it would be a dream match. Well, nobody talks about it because there's no realistic possibility of it happening. Fans did talk about it a lot about a decade ago, maybe a little over a decade ago, because Kurt Angle publicly said that he wanted to wrestle Bret Hart, and fans were starting to get excited about that possibility if Bret Hart could come out of retirement for one more match. But unfortunately, Bret quickly shot that down and made it clear that there's no chance of him being able to wrestle again. And if he could, he would wrestle Kurt Angle, but there's just no realistic way for that to happen. And fans just gave up on that idea because it was clear, you know, because of Bret's condition, there's no way he could get back in the ring again, unfortunately. But no doubt, Bret Hart and Kurt Angle, if that match could happen, it would be an all-time classic. If the two of them were at their peaks going at it, it would be one of the best matches of all time, no doubt. Alright, this one comes from Josh Fuller. And don't you love it when the cat's using the litter box when I'm recording? Gotta love it. Alright, got this question here. Would you like to see a heel Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose match at WrestleMania for the IC title? Maybe even a ladder match. Please answer in video. I believe I brought this up in a previous video when talking about Chris Jericho's return to WWE, and I think I mentioned Dean Ambrose as a possible opponent. I would really like to see that at WrestleMania, and maybe even a ladder match, although I do tend to like the multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania, and I think it's more likely that match will happen because WWE can get more people on the WrestleMania card. But I think a one-on-one Jericho-Ambrose match, just period, between the two of them, doesn't have to have a stipulation. I think that would be a really cool way to elevate Dean Ambrose. And to me, it would feel more important than Chris Jericho versus Fandango, because Dean Ambrose is a guy who could actually be a major force in WWE if he has the rocket strapped to his back and he's given the opportunity. So I would definitely like to see that match at WrestleMania. I think that's a great choice for a Dean Ambrose match. Put him against Jericho. Alright, got one more here today from Pro Wrestling For You. Please answer in video. Do you think WWE will do an NXT versus WWE Invasion angle this year, as NXT is more of its own brand now? There's the saying, never say never. But I really feel it's unlikely that this will happen, because I think WWE wants to keep NXT as the developmental brand, and I do not think WWE wants to make NXT at an equal level as Raw and SmackDown. I think WWE wants to keep the two of them separate as much as possible and not have NXT come in and feud with the main roster guys. I just don't think it's going to happen. If it did happen, I think it would be due to Triple H's influence. I doubt Vince would want to do that. I think that maybe if Vince felt it was good for business and NXT was really gaining serious momentum and you have these guys from New Japan coming in and there's a lot of buzz and somehow WWE's revenues are going up and it's clearly because of NXT and these new people coming in, then maybe there's a possibility of it happening. But I would be really surprised if it did. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. The cat's meowing. He wants to be fed or something. I don't know. So I will sign off here. Once again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Share it with your friends. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest in the world of wrestling. And I will see you guys next time for more No DQ&A video.